Hi, thank you so much for joining me on Bollywood Film Fame Canada. My name is Armin, and I have to tell you both, I am so looking forward to this anthology because, my goodness,
Is it?
as a female, I can tell you that I'm so tired of seeing stuff on the OTT platforms, which is catered to men. And I'm going to say it, almost everything that is dark, almost everything that is gory, almost everything that is suspense seems to be headlined by a male. So it's about time that we see women not only take part in this narrative, but are front and center stage in these narratives, but also are challenging the stereotypes. So I'm so looking forward to this. I want to talk to both of you about a lot of the things that I've observed over the years in in the digital space, but specifically, I want to talk to both of you about the need, this emerging need to see women take the power back, take back the power, not just in their lives, in their personal lives, but take the power back in this industry, take the power back in voicing their own stories.
I'll go first because I'm the woman in this, right? So, yeah. Well, I'll first respond to the industry question, and I think yes, it's really an exciting time to be a woman filmmaker right now, because I think that maybe 5 years ago, if I'd gone to a producer with an idea in which I said that I want to do film noir, but I want to do it from the perspective of the femme fatale and not from the male voiceover. You know how noir is. You always get to hear the male voice perspective telling you who this woman is, why she's what she is, and how dangerous she is. And so I think 5 years ago, if I'd taken this idea to somebody, I cannot imagine them uh, biting. But not only do I have, I have this fabulous woman producer, Shelja Kejriwal, and I took this idea to her, and she was so excited about the very idea of trying to tell a series from the perspective of the femme fatale, from the perspective of the Qatil Haseenaon, from the perspective of the vamp, whatever you want to call it, a woman, whose deeds, whose life, whose being has already always been sullied through a perspective which is a male perspective, and to break that. So yeah, this and a woman telling it, having 7 female protagonists, headlining a show, all of that I think is a lot about the times we are in and how exciting these times are, and things have to shift, and they are shifting. Can't hear you.
Yes. What do you think has led to that shift for both of you?
Farjad, do you want to go first?
Well, just to add to what Meenu has been saying, I think wherever we work together, Meenu and I, we've always had very strong female protagonists, female characters. And we made it a point, especially, from Zindabag to Jeevan Hathi and to this Qatil Haseenaon, that the women will step into their power and will reclaim their power. And that is not just something personal, because that is something we see in our daily lives. There are many strong women whose stories are not being told. And why not? Just because some standards have been set and some expectations are there. So we always try to upset the apple cart and do some kind of a subterfuge whenever we take these scripts and ideas to the producers. And yeah, so all I'm saying is we have a history of doing this.
Right. And to both of you, what do you think has led to the shift? Aminu, as you said, 5 years ago, if you took this to a producer, you don't know if a producer would have taken a bite, so to speak. But it's not as though we haven't had female narratives before. So what has changed in terms of having something like this being available for audiences to watch?
Yeah, I think what's changed is all of that which has come before us, in a way. right? Which is, I think, slowly opening up the vistas for, and as will this for somebody else, etc. Stuff. So there, I think that's been going on. A lot of women filmmakers have been doing really interesting work. This year itself, I've been seeing such great work coming out from filmmakers, women filmmakers around the world. I also think that there's a moment now amongst all women in the world, and it's powered by so many different movements, so many, and that it's kind of led to this surge in a way in women in all fields, where you're like, okay, I'm going to take up this space and I'm going to take it up right now, right? And I feel that's a kind of confidence to say that, so for instance, if you look at the genre, I'm in, the one that I've directed right now, it's noir, right? And
Right.
That's like usually a male director's domain, and it has happened to me in the past where a thriller genre, my agent has referred me, and the person opposite me has said that, oh, I think this is probably for a male director, so I mean, these were things people could say to your face, that you can't do this because you're a woman or whatever. So I just think that it's not as simple, just to shorten what I'm trying to say. As you can see, I feel strongly, but
I'm glad.
yeah, I think it's not just about just having women in leading roles or women as protagonists, women as agents. Yes, definitely, but also being able to tell all kinds of stories with women, so it's not just about, oh, let's tell the woman's story. No, that you can tell a woman's story of the kind we're telling right now, which is a Qatil Haseenaon ke naam, a femme fatale story. So I think that's interesting. You've always had heroes in all shades. It's now time to have heroines in all shades, so
Right.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And not just in all shades. One of the things that I really like is the diversity in the actors that are playing these women, because one, there's an age range. And I'm so glad, because, when you think about Hasina, you think about, a certain age range, generally speaking. I like that we are looking at a diversification in relation to what a Hasina is. A Hasina can be in her 60s, in her 50s, in her 20s. So I really do like that. Tell me a little bit about the thought process in casting and making sure that you are not just, because it's not just time for women to rise, it's also time for women of all shapes, of all sizes, of all ages to rise. So tell me a little bit about casting and the reason for the diversification from both of your ends.
So I'll say a little, and then I'll pass it on to Farjad, who can respond to it from the writing perspective, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit from the casting perspective. So firstly, when the show was conceived, both Farjad and I and Shelja, we were all very clear on one thing, that the Hasinas are not going to be young, and that had a lot to do with me thinking of myself as a Qatil Haseena as well.
Right.
So so that there was that, and then Farjad brilliantly came up with this actually story about the one that is by Beo, which is led by Beo, and we were just so excited about that, because it had this older character and had an older quirky character, and so I'll pass on to Farjad. Maybe we can talk about that character. He can talk a bit about the Mai Malki character, who are both older characters, and then I'll come back and talk about casting.
We just lost you there for a second.
I know, I have two connections and they always act up. They're just waiting for an interview to start. Sorry, I missed your last question.
Sure. I was just talking about the diversity in the female characters that are being portrayed. in this anthology, Meenu was just talking about. She sort of passed the baton over to you in terms of the writing perspective when it comes to the diversity of the women that are being portrayed.
Yeah, so this is the funny thing that these women, we see them every day and don't realize what they're carrying in their hearts. So while writing, I think it's a very good sign when you start getting scared yourself. So that was a good sign of looking at the women around me and then imagining what their real motivations could be. Because there is in every woman, as this Meenu must have already shared, that a long embedded history of suppressed history, and which wants to come out.